Hi team, I just wanted to touch base with you with the most recent progress here on the partitions. What I've done is I've got three sets of these mounting brackets done and installed. You can see the rear one, for example, there, running all the way across. And then about 26.5 inches from that one, I've got the middle bracket there. And there's above it, there's anywhere it changes depending upon where you measure, but there's 1/8 of an inch to maybe 1/2 of an inch here, but certainly no more than 1/2 of an inch all the way across, and gap between the roof and the top of the bracket. And there is the front one, which is going to be the subject of my next project here, now that I've got these three done. Because what I want to do is I want to create the left to right partition here in this area, and I want the top of it to follow this pattern. So I want it to be cut. If we're going to be using polycarbonate, I want to cut at that shape. This car hasn't gone through production yet, so it doesn't have the inverter, it doesn't have the air conditioning ducts. So what I'll do is I'll take you over to Moxie, which is a vehicle that's completely fitted. It's a Grand Rapids car. I brought it here about a week ago. And what I've got, so I've got the two middle seats out of it. You can see the inverter. So again, this car has everything in it. Air conditioning, inverter, CD evaporators down on the floor there. But I took a 1/2 inch piece of insulation. It's got this tinfoil like backing on the back of it, which is why it shines. But you can see the ducting for the air conditioning, top and sides. What I did is I cut out the top using that bracket that you were just looking at, so that this would fit mostly with that shape. And then I've cut out for the sides so that they will kind of follow the shape of the ducting. And I've got it going over the top of the inverter for now, just resting there so I can see what my next move is. So I'm thinking, as I'm looking at this, that I might have some bracing options for holding up the bottom of this if I come off of the front seat bracket and bring something up this way and then back down to the seat bracket here, the middle seat bracket, so it could basically go from the front to the back seat bracket. I think that could be fabricated pretty easy. I could do two of them, one on this side and one on that side. And then I could run some angle iron, at least on this prototype, from here to there, that it would sit, that this 1/2 inch will sit in. And then at the top, I'll use the bracket, of course, that I showed you earlier in the other car, and I'll fasten the top here to that. I might just weld in some flat stock rather than a full piece of angle iron. So when this gets put in, when this piece gets put in, it would just rest up against the flat stock and then maybe I could have some drill holes and some large washers, for example, to hold it up against that piece of flat stock, 2-inch flat stock, or maybe 1-inch flat stock. Anyway, that's the progress for now, and I'll keep plugging along. You guys keep giving me feedback, it really helps, and eventually we'll get there. So I do want to mention also that the idea, at least in my mind, is to take the middle piece, the piece that's going to go from front to back, and to basically make sure that this piece is plumb, that it's straight up and down, no angle to it, and I think we can do that. The seats are just going to have to be put in certain places, not far from where they typically are, but we're going to have to make sure that all the seats get done the same way so that we can, you know, our expectations will be met. And then we'll basically just put angle iron on that piece of, I've actually ordered a piece of, I think it's about 1/3 of an inch thick, a polycarbonate that'll go in place of this piece. Angle iron will be on each side, and then the middle piece that goes this way will basically just butt up against that and get fastened, get sandwiched between those two pieces of angle iron. And that'll give this piece, as well as the middle piece, quite a bit of support. Anyway, that's kind of the direction I'm headed for now. Let me know what you think.